Hey, thanks for checking out the Insiders podcast. And if you haven't already, please click subscribe. We've got new interviews dropping every week. For more details, check out distinctmedia.ca. Welcome to the podcast, Jake.
Thanks for having me.
Can you start off by telling us a bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm a career entrepreneur. I've been in the media technology and innovation space for about 19 years and have co-founded several companies over the last 19 years, including a company called One Stop Media Group, which is now purchased by Pattison Outdoor several years ago, rebranded to Pattison One Stop. And since then, I've co-founded a few companies called Big Digital, which specializes in pop-up technologies for marketing events, trade shows, you name it. And we recently launched POPCANN as prefabricated cannabis retail stores to make legal cannabis more accessible in non-traditional locations. So, we're not really focused on places like downtown Toronto, but there's lots of non-traditional destinations where access to cannabis is not readily available, and that's where we specialize in.
Well, then if we're going to talk about POPCANN right away, let's jump into this. Tell me, what is POPCANN exactly by design?
Sure. Well, POPCANN is based on repurposing shipping containers, reclaiming shipping containers, and customizing and modifying them to be compliant cannabis retail stores. So we take shipping containers, and then we kind of add the insulation, security features, security cameras, a vault structure, and then we make them very luxurious and beautiful with amazing finishes, hardwood floors, wood ceilings, and really the sky's the limit in terms of the design and finish of our POPCANNs. And again, they're designed to be installed in non-traditional locations, so places like seasonal towns, northern communities, eventually festivals and events when special occasion permits come down the line. And we specialize also in working with First Nations because they don't have the same type of commercial and retail infrastructure that we might have in a larger city like we live in.
When you look on your website, I saw that you have probably 6 or 7 proposed ideas for the cannabis space with your POPCANNs. Why have you guys chosen cannabis specifically as an industry in which to get involved with?
Because accessibility to cannabis, to legal cannabis, is important. And since legalization, the challenge has been how do you make it readily available in smaller towns, like 2,000, 5,000 population northern communities, for example. So focusing on cannabis was a no-brainer for us because of the nature of using shipping containers and the ability to ship them anywhere. Trucks and trains and boats are all designed to move shipping containers around. So it was a natural focus for us to specialize in the cannabis space as a starting point. But we're also soon to be diversifying into non-cannabis applications as well.
Okay, I saw that. And it does make a mention to that on your website. What about cannabis compliance? There are so many rules that pertain to retail space specifically when it comes to cannabis. How are you guys ensuring that these POPCANNs, I guess, are legal from a safety and compliance perspective?
Well, we've consulted, and now that we have stores up and running, we've consulted with regulators like the AGCO, and they're quite supportive and innovative and very reasonable people. Now, of course, we still have to comply like any other traditional retailer. But the benefit of working with shipping containers to start with is these are solid steel structures. They already exist as vaults, highly secure, much stronger than a traditional retail store, which might have plywood and shingle roofs. In our scenario, our roofs are solid steel. And And then, as we modify them, we ensure that we're fully compliant. So security cameras, age gating entranceways, a proper vault structure with security features. So like any other retail store, cannabis retail store, we have to meet all the criteria and go through the same types of inspections and certifications. And we've done that successfully.
You had mentioned pop-up, the possibility of popping up or transportability. Is that even reasonable for the average retailer? Like, how heavy are these cans? What's it like to transport one?
Again, our world is based on the movement of shipping containers. Mm-hmm. So probably your headphones and clothing that you're wearing today came from overseas in a shipping container at one point. So they're actually ideal for rapid deployment and quick installations. So trucks, cranes, forklifts are all optimized and standardized around the movement and deployment of shipping containers. So it's a natural fit, actually.
Well, in theory, you're right. But let's talk in reality. Let's say that I have the money to purchase one and I've made arrangements with the AGLC here in Alberta, say to do a concert tour or travel around in the summertime. For whatever reason, I've got my license in place. What do I need to actually do that?
Well, of course, special occasion permits are required, and they're still not really available in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. I think there are some examples in Alberta of special occasion or temporary installations where cannabis has been retailed. But I think for the most part in Canada, there is no legislation for that just yet. Mm-hmm. In Ontario, it doesn't exist. But if it did exist and we had the permit to do a special occasion, of course, with coronavirus and COVID, there's no rush to kind of have special occasion permits available to retail cannabis at events or festivals. When it all comes back, it's very practical. We can have a store up and running in an hour. It literally, flatbed will show up, it'll drop it, whether a forklift or a crane will just put it into place. And it literally takes 1 hour or less.
So if I'm a prospect or a customer, I want one of these, do you guys do the design, I guess, stage in advance and prefabricate it from your facility and then you deliver it all in one package?
Yes, that's exactly right. So we'll go through a design process. Of course, the finishes, the colors, the POS counter, mm-hmm. The flooring, the design, the merchandise is all obviously customized to our clients, and we go through a design build phase mm-hmm. where we spec out and lock in all those designs, and then we build it to that finish. But we also at this point have optimized footprints and layouts mm-hmm. that make the most sense. So we're trying to manage that process so it's not a free-for-all of complex custom designs every time. We have more of a cookie-cutter approach at this point with optimized, like a single container optimized layout, a double container optimized layout, things like that.
I guess one of the advantages of going with a POPCANN would be probably price. I would assume it's probably cheaper than buying a building in real estate. What can you give me sort of an estimate, an idea of what ballpark you'd have to purchase a POPCANN? Say to get a retail space, let's say you had a spot you could put it. Is it $100,000? Is it $500,000? Is it $1 million?
Got it.
What does it take?
Yeah. POPCANN start at, let's say, the $180,000 to $200,000 range as a starting point. Mm-hmm. With Peguis First Nation in Manitoba, we're building a 6-container POPCANN. It's about 1,920 square feet. So wow. It's quite larger and more complex and obviously more expensive. But some of the main benefits of going with a POPCANN is it is a real estate asset, and banks and lenders will lend against it. So with very low interest rates, you can get a POPCANN cannabis store up and running and the carrying costs on that could be under $1,000 a month in interest that you might be paying to the bank for having your own real estate asset. Okay. So a debt-based financing is very practical, and in the end, you own your own store, you own your own piece of real estate as part of the POPCANN proposition.
By definition, it's a building, I guess, if it's in place. What other uses do you have?
The beauty of it is, if it's a bad location or if there's issues, you can pick it up and move it. So if you have a better location in the future, or there's, for whatever reason, you want to pick it up and move it somewhere else, we enable that. You can't do that with a traditional building. Where
do you source your containers from?
We have a few different partners that we work with, but typically what we like to do is reclaim shipping containers that have been used for moving goods around. So what happens is, you fill up a shipping container with auto parts or electronics, whatever it might be. It makes its way over across the Atlantic or Pacific, ends up in Canada, and then after it's unloaded, there's a large percentage of those shipping containers that just rust away in a large field somewhere. So we like to reclaim those containers to start with and repurpose them. So there's a bit of an positive environmental approach here.
Nice. Any final thoughts? Anything we missed?
We're expanding. So we're moving into the U.S. We see this as a very viable venture for smaller countries, Caribbean countries. We've had lots of excellent opportunities that we're developing where, again, bad example today with coronavirus, but as cruise ships pull into ports, it's an ideal location to put a POPCANN on those ports. So as people come off, they can, buy cannabis right there. So there's all sorts. Beach towns are an ideal location as well. So it's a very exciting time for us, and we see a very large distribution potential, as well as potential franchising down the road as well.
Right. Well, I see our conversation has been very cannabis-centric, but looking at your website, I see that obviously there are unlimited applications for a POPCANN in the retail space, should somebody be interested. Yeah. How do they find out about you guys?
POPCANN.com, POPCANN.com, and all of our contact information is there.
Thanks, brother. Take care.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Insiders Podcast. We take no responsibility for inaccurate details or facts. If something interests you, we're glad to have brought it to your attention, but please take the time to research the details for yourself.